out your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West, here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Now, as usual, I give you the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made it first, followed by a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community, and maybe some pictures. And then I'll give you the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it, folks. So let's waste no time. Yeah. Let's get to it. Story number 1. A resignation in Girard makes headlines. Bob Copeland has a headline out of Girard explaining how the Board of Education has accepted the resignation of Mark Bello, who has been serving since 1990. He has been serving as treasurer of that school district, Girard. Now, Stacy Foster, who is the treasurer with the Trumbull County Education Service Center, will serve as interim treasurer while the board searches for a permanent position, somebody replacement, so permanent treasurer. Now, the article goes on further to explain how an audit caused Bello to resign, thus making this a top story. Big headline. Story number 2. YSU board agrees to raise tuition. An article out of Youngstown published June 8th says that trustees at YSU all agreed on a tuition hike for new students starting in the fall semester. Now, the article highlights how YSU has one of the lowest tuition rates in the state, according to university spokesman Becky Rose. Now, at the moment, undergraduates who are residents pay about $4,377, while non-Ohio residents pay about $4,557 per semester. Now, the rate for incoming students will be $5,522 for residents and $5,702 for non-residents. Now, master's level students' tuition increased $233, and doctoral students got raised $244. Five YSU colleges remain unchanged. That means that their programs remain unchanged. That's why story number 2 made it this week, because we're talking hikes, raises, big. Story number 3. How many people voted in the special election? Michael Ruley pulled away in the 6th district special election against Michael Kripchak. Now, Ruley won Mahoning County by 14 votes, Carroll County by 67.3%, and he won Columbiana County by 65.4%. Now, according to a report by David Skolnick of the Vindicator, the election turnout was very, very low, thus showing that the local community is engaging in everything else but the basic rights to vote and get involved with political affairs. That's making this a top story. That's why story number 3 made it this week. Story number 4. Agreement made at Altium Cell. A tentative contract agreement has been reached with Altium Cells for employees at the electric vehicle battery cell manufacturers plant in Lordstown. Ron Selleck Jr. has an entire piece published June 11th explaining the entire deal. The plant employs about 1,600 people. The deal includes pay raises and a little list of incentives. That's why story number 4 made it this week. Check out the article. Big headline. Story number 5. Bomb threats in Boardman. Boardman has been the go-to spot for businesses, but that doesn't come easy. Dan Pompley has a piece explaining how workers at a local McDonald's restaurant reported a bomb threat over the weekend. Now, according to the report, police responded to a call around 2 a.m. with employees explaining that a man on the phone was, with an accent, told an employee that he was going to blow up the store and that they were lucky that he didn't shoot up the restaurant, prompting the police to use an explosive sniffing dog to figure out if there was a bomb on the property. But no bombs were found. That's what story number 5 made it this week, because like I said, things continue to get a little bit out of hand. Big head. Story number 6. Youngstown on high alert after the building downtown is deemed unsafe. This building that's that blew up the bottom floor like a gas leak, according to the reports. Now, Ed Runyon has an article published June 12th explaining how structural engineers were hired by the city to evaluate the damages of Realty Tower. Now, Barber and Hoffman Consulting engineers recommended that the city close everything within a 210-foot radius due to the fact that the building could collapse. Now, this is crazy. I mean, you talk about out of control. This is wild. Now, before the airing of this show, residents were looking for places to relocate to. That's how serious it is. Now, this story is still developing, and city residents have, as the city mayor, Mayor Jamel Tito Brown, has made safety a top priority. That even if it involves losing money and even lawsuits. That's why story number 6 almost made it to the top 2 this week. Because whatever's going on downtown, the recipe for disaster is in the air. Big headline. Story number 7 at the top 2 local headlines and developing news stories that made it this week on Father's Day. Shout out to all the fathers out there. Fathers, maybe we get enough men to go downtown and pick the building up off the ground. How about that? Story number 7. More money coming to the Valley. $15.2 million is set to come to the Valley, according to David Skolnick. According to the report, Mahoning and Trumbull County will get about $7.6 million each for community projects. Now, according to the report, Mahoning County will get 19 community projects and Trumbull will get 13 community projects. This story is still developing. That's for story number 7. I was made to the top this week because we're talking money and building. Big headline. Story number 8 at the top. Local headline and developing news story that made it this week. The Mediator on Father's Day. And, I wish I could fly in and lift up buildings and lift up cars because superheroes are really needed right now. Because I know Tito would be calling me up, putting this bat signal in the sky. Hey, Mediator, could you come down here and lift this building up off the ground? Story number 8. Could you get everybody's belongings out of the building before it falls down? Story number 8. A small city with big problems. Speaking of Tito and Youngstown buildings. Youngstown is a small city with big problems, folks. Over the years, the city has been tormented by a failing education system. Crime has also been a problem. High-paying job opportunities have also stayed in the headlines they don't have a lot of high-paying jobs in the area. And now the city has to deal with a national news story about the blowout of a bottom floor high-rise causing the evacuation of surrounding buildings. And now the building could collapse. Now this alone will be a test of the city's willpower in what seems like mission impossible. Now at the moment, the city needs more heroes than critics to be able to rise from the ashes of this debacle. Now this story is still developing because there's a lot going on downtown, folks. There's a lot going on. Well, folks, those are the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that I made this week. I'm right back with top 8 international headlines and developing news stories. So those you're going to, or you're the media, to me, Brian West. I'm right back.
Tune in and don't forget to subscribe to Method 8 Inc. YouTube channel. You can also watch free public entertainment. And don't forget to show some support by visiting www.method8inc.com by buying something, clicking something, watching something, or just reading something. You can also sponsor a program as well. That's www.method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
What does Method8Inc.com Media Center have that I need?
Small prints, event consulting, photography, business consulting, technical consulting, entertainment consulting, fundraising advice, event videography, movies, news, publishing, media, books, entertainment, acting, broadcasting, public relations, access to the visual and performing arts, ink and black ink refills, audio recording, graphic design, theater, minor computer and cell phone repair, and they're located at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. every Monday through Friday. The list goes on and on.
Method8Inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
Oh yeah! And yes, we are chipmunks.
Aunt Tasha, she said that you can be dumb and still make a lot of money.
Don't be deceived, okay? Just get the work done. Get your work done, graduate, you'll be successful. Don't be deceived. I told you that. Now hit the books.
Mom's not coming back, is she, Dad?
What test scores again?
Every teacher is in here day and night, and it's not our fault.
Uriah aced her random proficiency test because you helped her. She's the first student in this city's district to ace that test.
So did he pay?
No, the pool only paid half.
Apply the pressure.
Hey, get that bus out of here!
Titi, you picked this district, Titi. I'm going to Puerto Rico. Me voy a Puerto Rico, Titi. Cálmate. Calm down. ¿Cómo quiere que me calme? How am I calm down? You had us come here, Titi. How can I protect myself? That's all I need for you to help me with. How do I protect myself?
Oh, they're not gonna hurt you.
If this is what I get for being a good student and acing a test, I'd rather have failed.
I never told you that being good would be easy.
Clear target, cannot miss.
Home for his little girl. Take me.
They're in danger.
I won't tell you how this is gonna end, Laura, but my history professor once told me, in order to prevent a genocide, you first have to kill the dictator.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Folks, it is Father's Day, and you know I could have been a father years ago, but I've just taken up on myself to help other people, you know, with their kids and stuff. But it would be hard being a father these days because kids are smart. You know, there's a lot going on TV. They're watching TV. They're watching YouTube. They're watching rappers. They're watching entertainers. And kids are smart. You know, I mean, can you imagine you're at the dinner table and you're helping your kids out with the homework, and kid just pops up and my teacher told me that Donald Trump talked about putting his hand on somebody's poos. Oh! My teacher told me that Joe Biden was going to put black people back in slavery. Oh! My teacher told me that Terrence Howard told her that 1 × 1 is 2. Woo! Be confused. As a father, you know, you don't know what to say. Because you probably voted for Donald or Joe. You're like, oh. Well, I'll tell you this. Martin Luther King was no, he was sitting there, he was like, you know, you trying to explain, you got to explain to these kids. And they're not stupid. You know, look at you. I know what you and Mommy were doing in that room last night. You got to talk to them about sex education. It's wild. Then they may lose a friend because people are getting killed every day. You know how to explain to them between life and death? Well, Jesus resurrected. Look at you. Well, why haven't my friend resurrected? You got to explain that. Well, see, there's another side. Physically, like Einstein said, the relativity of, well, where's Einstein? Well, the fact is, folks, fathers have it rough. Then if the mother gets upset, you got to explain the fundamentals of child support and visitation rights. Folks, we're living in a different day and age. It's not, I don't know if the world's ever been like it used to be or ever like it should be, but you just got to deal with the cards you're dealt. So happy Father's Day, folks. Whew. Let's waste no time, folks. Let's get to story number 1. No students to teach. Or is there some? USA Today has an article by Ale Wong. Now, the article focuses on education. The article begins by explaining how millions of students have missed weeks of school over the past few years. The article is filled with explicit information on what children have been doing with their spare time while not in school. Speaking of Father's Day, now the piece goes on to explain how chronic absenteeism has been an epidemic in America's schools, and COVID spilled more fuel on the flames. Now, 2 in 3 teens reported school to be too boring, with just 2 in 5 of them, roughly they're saying that roughly about 1,000 respondents saying that they liked going to school. So 2 in 5 of the roughly 1,000 respondents said that they liked actually going to school. Now the article goes on, citing mental health, bullying, and confusion as some of the other factors, thus making story number 1 a top story. Big. Story number 2. The oil story is interestingly both-sided. According to a CNN report, oil companies have been raking in profits, record profits under Joe Biden. This is according to a CNN report. Now, according to the piece, this is after Donald Trump warned that Biden would destroy the oil industry. Now, according to S&P Global, ExxonMobil, Chevron, ConocoPhillips, EOG Resources, and Schlumberger, and all of these companies have raked in more than 250 billion in profits between 2021 and 2023. This piece goes on to explain how that's a 160% jump compared to the first 3 years of the pro-big oil Trump administration. So you're looking at a big comparison here. Now the piece goes on to explain how the U.S. Energy Information Administration adds that the U.S. produced more crude oil than ever in 2023, beating the previous record in 2019. This has led to major moves being made, thus making this a big story headed into the next election because you're talking oil. Big headline. Story number 3. War crimes accusations continue to make headlines. Axios has a headline explaining how Israeli forces and Palestinian groups have possibly committed war crimes in a raid, according to the UN. Now, this is in relation to the holding of hostages and the fact that they're not freeing these hostages. This is all that's going on. The holding of hostages and the fact that they're not freeing some of these hostages. Some of these hostages have been free, some of them haven't. Now, this is after Israel conducted a military operation this weekend to rescue 4 hostages out of a number. Now, these hostages have been held by Hamas, according to the article. Now, the fact that civilians are being harmed is what got the story in, thus making story number 3 a top headline. Story number 4. U.S. economy. The U.S. economy is in the headlines. The Washington Post has a headline explaining how a surprising U.S. economy is powering a better global outlook. Now, this is according to the World Bank. Now, the piece explains how interest rates and trade tensions all pose risks. The article goes on to explain how global growth is expected to reach an annual rate of 2.6% this year. That's making story number 4 top story. Well, folks, on the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. I'm right back with the top 4. So don't you go anywhere. You're the Mediator. Me, Brad West. I'm right back. Tune in to Method A's YouTube channel to check out the top interviews that made it throughout the years and months. Visit method8inc.com. Check out all the community interviews if you want to check it out. Method8inc.com. Buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Oh, yeah. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week, folks. On Father's Day, that June 19th is this week, the day that they freed slaves and emancipation and all that other good stuff. And it makes me think about, the nature that we're in now, and people are watching new movies. Now, movies have gotten to the point to where they've gotten so real that some people say that entertainment could be affecting people's mental health. And I hadn't ever really seen this growing up because, they had movies, but movies were about life and love and they had substance. Now movies are telling kids they can go through walls, they can scientifically experience some type of nuclear fusion activity and split atoms. So times have changed. The kids are believing what they're watching these movies, and then when they go back in time and they watch movies like Roots or something, they start thinking about slavery, and they start getting defeated inside about their race and ethnicity and why did they do that, I mean, I witnessed it one time. One of my cousins, she was watching, she had went back in the room, watched Roots, and she had came out angry, upset frustrated. And you see that a lot in this new environment, you see stuff happening in your city and you want to save lives. You want to be able to bounce through buildings and feel like you could fly and save people and have special powers to turn off electricity. It's not real. No, it's not. And I'm not going to lie to you, the fathers that got to deal with this mental crisis, kids are their imagination is big. And when you got to sit them down, you got to explain to them, there is a Superman, but he dwells within us. We are the superheroes. No, these kids running around with tights on. They want to have special powers. I made a song about it. You are so beautiful as you are. The world is crazy. So get down and get with the reality. You can't fly. There is no Superman. It's only me, the Father, telling you that life is full of enjoyment, colorful, beautiful things. As the Father, we must come together, figure out how to get Mom to stop making the father who isn't there pay child support, and instead use the money to pay for college. You are so beautiful to me. Reality turns us all into wild, wild beasts, folks, when we figure out that if the building downtown collapses, nobody's going to come in and save us, folks. Let's waste no time. Reality sucks, and Mother Nature is brutal. Let's get to it, folks. Story number 5. Happy Father's Day. Story number 5. Story number 5. A borderline between two worlds. After a couple of ISIS members made headlines in a Fox News report citing terror fears after arrests were made at the border. So this is getting bad. Now the article goes on to explain how the border story is staying in the headlines, thus making it a line between two worlds and two schools of thoughts. The arrest of these ISIS members who were supposed to be considered terrorists took place in New York City, Los Angeles, and Philadelphia. Now the question now is, how many did get caught? And if they did get caught, where are they in America? Folks, this story is still developing because the border is a line between two worlds. It could be good and evil, sanity and insane, and on top of that, it could be a lot going on that some people may want to ignore it, but it's real. Story number 5, Big B. Story number 6, how can public schools be fixed? The Hill has a headline explaining how the New York State Education Department has declared that within the last year that 2 of the 12 schools in Ithaca, New York, were not in good standings. Now, the article was written by Glenn Ashler and it shows an enormous learning loss when it comes to education. Now, 10% were proficient in math, English, and language arts. Only 10%, and more than 60% were chronically absent. Now, this adds to more attention being placed on the American education system. The article is long and even highlights race as an issue. Could you imagine a generation growing up uneducated, what that would do to the future? Big headline. Story number 7 in the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week for you. Father's Day, June 19th, Emancipation Day, and the fact that the world may be going crazy, but there is some sanity in mediation. Story number 7. The aftermath of war is worse in the end, so why is it an option? War-ravaged nations may never be rebuilt again, according to some analysts. Now, when going into the past, WorldPopulationReview.com has a long list of war-ravaged countries still trying to recover. Now, the list includes Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Yemen, Mexico, Somalia, and Libya. Now, the aftermath of war has left most of these countries in the worse shape than they were before the wars broke out. Now, the story shows the ripple effect of war. Currently, Gaza's unemployment has soared as children work to feed families, and poverty continues to stay in top headlines. Let's make it this top story. Story number 7, big headline. Story number 8, and the top international headline and developing news story that made it this week. I've had so many fathers in my life, my uncles, my stepdad, I even saw my biological father on a few occasions, and I don't know what to say about that, but you know, this life, you just don't know what to expect. But shout out to all the fathers out there, to all the fathers, and the fathers. Story number 8. Children caught in the middle. Speaking of fathers, children. If you did not know, there are children suffering on all accounts because of war-torn countries. According to CFR.org, more than 14,500 children have died in Gaza. If you did not know, as of April 26, the UN has reported that at least 600 children have been killed and more than 1,350 injured in attacks since the war in Ukraine got out of hand, if you didn't know that. Now, the Hill says that more kids are being diagnosed with ADHD, if you didn't know that, than in the years past, if you didn't know that. Now, the piece goes on to explain how in 2022, more than 22% of children in the United States have been diagnosed with other diseases compared to the years past, of mental disorders compared to years past. Now, to top it off, according to WOLA.org, between January of 2021 and May of 2022, 98,671 minors were detained by INM. That's at the U.S.-Mexico border. That's 98,671. Thus making this a top story, showing that kids are getting caught in the middle of the world web of trouble. So I started the rate made to the top this week. Well, folks, those are the top 8 local and international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I hope you got something on today's program. I always get something out doing the research. As usual, I thank all the news outlets, the journalists, the people on the front lines. You deserve all the credit. I'm just the mediator, the man navigating your stories to keep people informed. If you want to show us some support here at Method 8, it does not take much. All you do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Or you can stop at the store at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio, and buy something in the store to support the store, the arts, the programs that I do for the community and the people who help out. Well, folks, I'm out here. I'll be back next week looking through over 200 or more stories just to keep you informed. And on top of that, happy Father's Day and happy June 19th. I am out here. Have a good week, everybody. Thank you for tuning to The Mediator with me, Brian West. Peace.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.